Yes, they are on their way back, folks. The dastardly duo, the fake Duke and Duchess, have tonight confirmed a return to the United Kingdom. They informed King Charles on Sunday. Of course, we are going to unpick this story and reveal the truth in a way the mainstream media will not. This is about Prince Harry forcing Meghan Markle to do something she vowed she would never do. She vowed she would never return home. She vowed she would never return home. And here she is coming back to the United Kingdom. The story was briefed to the Daily Telegraph and broken at 10 p.m. at the same time as the Sun newspaper. Let me get into the reporting of it now. Exclusive. Harry and Meghan plan to move back to Britain. Duke intends to come home with his family this month and has enrolled children in school for September. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are planning to move back to Britain, the Telegraph can reveal. The family intends to relocate from the US later this month to a private, non-royal residence thought to be outside London. Prince Archie, 7, Princess Lilibet, 5, the couple's children, are enrolled to start at a British school in September. There are no current plans for either the Duke or Duchess of Sussex to reprise their official working roles within the royal family. However, the move raises the prospect that they could do so in the future. The King was informed of the news on Sunday. It was not discussed when the Sussexes visited him at Highgrove in July, it is understood, which seems to me like yet another betrayal, and we know what they're like when they're planning big moves. He was said, and this is what you call damning with faint praise, to be naturally pleased for the opportunity to see more of his family on a regular basis, both in private and personal capacity. I'd say, yeah, right. I have a feeling Queen Camilla certainly doesn't agree. However, the King is clear that the Duke and Duchess's status as non-working royals and private individuals, in keeping with their previously expressed wishes, will remain unchanged. My addition, for now.
Prince Harry has once again found himself discussing one of the most sensitive chapters of his childhood, the people who surrounded his mother, Princess Diana. This time, the focus is Paul Burrell, Diana's former butler and longtime confidant. During court proceedings, Harry was questioned about what he had previously said regarding Burrell, and the questioning highlighted an apparent difference between the account presented in his memoir Spare and the version described in his witness evidence. And that distinction matters. Because when testimony is given under oath, even seemingly small differences in how events are remembered can become extremely significant. Let's go back to the beginning. Paul Burrell worked for Princess Diana for years and became one of the people most closely associated with her private life during the final period of her life. After Diana's death, Burrell remained a controversial figure. His decision to publish books and speak publicly about his experiences with the princess attracted considerable criticism, including from members of the royal family and, eventually, from Prince Harry himself. Harry's feelings toward Burrell have clearly been complicated. But the courtroom questioning focused on something very specific: whether Harry and his brother, Prince William, had discussed the possibility of meeting Burrell. And this is where the story becomes particularly interesting. Harry was questioned about an article from December 2003 concerning the possibility of a meeting with Burrell. The suggestion was that William wanted a meeting, while Harry was firmly opposed to it. Harry agreed that there had been a private disagreement between the brothers. But then came the question of how his feelings had been described. The phrase two-faced was brought into the discussion. Harry indicated that the description may have originated from a voicemail and reflected how he had viewed Burrell at the time. Yet the questioning then turned to Spare. In the memoir, the way Harry describes the episode appears to suggest something different, that he may actually have wanted an opportunity to confront Burrell and tell him exactly what he thought.
The Prince and Princess of Wales have also been informed of the news. The Duke and Duchess's security arrangements have not been disclosed, but there has been no announcement of any change. All of a sudden it makes sense, doesn't it, why Harry has been so determined to force Ravik to change their mind on this. Prince Harry previously made it clear that he would not feel safe bringing his family back to the UK without police protection, something he has been fighting for several years. The British state has so far steadfastly refused to provide him with police support. The couple will retain their homes in Montecito, California and Portugal, while the Duchess will continue to run her lifestyle brand as ever, which sources insist is thriving from their new base. Sources suggested that the UK would be their primary home for an extended period, although it had not yet been decided whether to make the move permanent. The locations of the home and school have not been made public for privacy reasons, although I am hearing already rumours of the Cotswolds in terms of a location of the home. Let's just hope they're not thinking Eton, although at least there wouldn't be a clash for a few years at least. In terms of the schooling, the decision comes more than 6 years after the couple quit royal duties and moved abroad in search of financial independence, agreeing not to use their HRH titles. In a statement released in 2021, following a 12-month review of their situation, Elizabeth II confirmed that the couple would not continue with the responsibilities and duties that come with a life of public service. She had made it clear that they could not maintain a half-in, half-out approach to royal duties while also pursuing commercial opportunities. The Duke and Duchess responded by saying, "We can all live a life of service. Service is universal." What swines. What absolute swines. Harry was stripped of his honorary military titles, but has continued to support a handful of charities. The couple believe they have since proved that the half-in, half-out model does work. After moving to the US, the Duke and Duchess made a series of incendiary allegations that shook the royal family to its core. They suggested that senior royals were racist by asking questions about the colour of their unborn son's skin. The Duchess of Sussex also revealed that she had suicidal thoughts and had struggled with her mental health after joining the royal family. Well, I'm going to translate that piece of bullshit too. She made up. She spun a story. And by the way, what the Daily Telegraph seems to be forgetting is that Meghan and Harry also accused all of us, Brits who voted for Brexit like me, as being racist scumbags. However, the report goes on, Prince Harry has long made it clear that he misses the UK and is desperate for his children to experience British life and culture. The move will also enable him to dedicate further time to his charitable organisations. Not sent to Bali, though, of course, because he's been booted from there. His relationship with his father has improved in recent months, with the pair chatting regularly on the phone. When the Duke and Duchess returned to the UK last month, they enjoyed a long-awaited reunion with the King and Queen at Highgrove, the monarch's Gloucestershire home. It was a significant moment and marked the first time Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet had seen their father in 4 years. The meeting was considered a key step on the road to reconciliation. The Sussexes have already sought to build a house in Europe, buying property in Portugal at the prestigious Costa Terra resort in Melides. The country is popular with US emigrants and offers a so-called golden visa granting EU residency in exchange for an investment of at least £216,000, provided the visa holder stay in the country for 7 days a year. But I'm now going to bring you some facts. I am going to bring you some facts about what this is really about. The marriage is on its last legs, and the money is running out fast. And Meghan Markle did not want to do this, trust me. However, as I have reported here on Outspoken, because we are on very much ahead on the curve of these things, Harry and Meghan were considering putting the Montecito mansion on the
thought. That creates an obvious question. Which version reflects Harry's position at the time? Was he firmly against meeting Burrell? Or did he want the opportunity to sit down with him and express his anger? Harry's response was essentially that there is a difference between remembering something decades later and remembering how you felt as an 18-year-old. And that is an important distinction. People's memories evolve. Perspectives change. Something that felt absolutely certain at 18 may look very different when remembered decades later. But a courtroom is not simply interested in what someone believes today. It is interested in evidence. And that brings us to the broader significance of this confrontation. For Harry, Paul Burrell is not simply another former royal employee. He was closely connected to Diana during some of the most important and difficult years of her life. Burrell was there when Harry and William were children. He knew Diana personally, and he has spent decades presenting his own version of what happened inside the princess's world. Harry, meanwhile, has developed his own understanding of his mother's final years. Those two versions have not always aligned. That tension has now resurfaced in a very public legal setting. And there is another particularly serious allegation that has emerged from Harry's evidence claims concerning Diana's possessions.
Market, and they wanted an off-market sale. Hence one of the reasons why they have recently been showing off the redesigned kitchen. But anyone who thinks that Harry and Meghan are doing this because they love the United Kingdom or because they love their family and they want to spend time with King Charles needs a real wake-up call. And unfortunately, I will also say that this news tonight is very, very bad for the British royal family. Prince William has been determined to create a situation where Harry and Meghan would be treated like exiles, would effectively live out their final decades like the Duke of Windsor and Wallis Simpson after the abdication crisis. No hint of a return, no hint of a royal role, quietly scrubbed from official life to go and live out their final days without damaging the British royal family. By announcing that they are returning to Prince William and Catherine's backyard at a time when the heir to the throne is thinking about the future of the monarchy is a declaration of war. Prince William is going to be under increasing pressure, not just from his father, not just from the British establishment, but from the mainstream media, for there to be some type of thaw in relations with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, for there to be some type of reunion between the children. And on hearing this news tonight, I just urge Prince William and Catherine to stay strong. The public are with you. The British public do not want these chancers and grifters and no good people who actually have been on a campaign to destroy the British royal family back on British soil. This is a nightmare they must not win. And that is going to be down to decisions that Prince William and Catherine make. We're bringing you all of the developments on this quite astonishing story in a special edition of Dan Wootton Outspoken Live with a brilliant royal superstar panel to help us through. It is absolutely brilliant to team up with royal YouTube sensation Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, alongside independent royal reporter P. Diner, the long-term royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliam, and the royal commentator and columnist for The Spectator, The Daily Telegraph, and GB News, Lee Cohen of Tea with Lee. Brittany, they have been planning, they have been plotting, they didn't even tell the king. This has echoes of Megxit. If you value the whole truth and nothing but the truth on these royal stories, make sure you subscribe to Outspoken right now. It allows me to work outside of the MSM and the Royal Rota.
It really does, Dan. This is honestly the worst case scenario for the British monarchy. It would be one thing if they had moved to Portugal and Harry was coming more, but this truly is the worst case because this is them firmly setting up their alternative royal court in the UK. They are going to force in their half in, half out. And I think looking back at this meeting with Charles and them not telling him, I think they were gauging how he would react to something like this, trying to figure out how soft he would be. And they're clearly seeing weakness and they want to pounce because they know if they wait until William is king or if they do it too late, William can basically undo all their royal titles and everything. And the royalty is the only thing that's selling for them. So they desperately need to reestablish this. This will be an absolute nightmare for Catherine and William. It'll be a nightmare for the British monarchy. This is something they do not need. And I'm sure we'll see Harry and Meghan during the Sandringham walk. They'll start to insert themselves more and more. And Charles, as we've seen, especially even inviting Andrew to Balmoral, has been very firm that blood is blood. And I think Harry is on his route back in. And I think Meghan will probably follow too. As ever, despite her insistence that it's a smashing success, I think has been an abysmal failure. They failed out of Hollywood. We just have to look at Cookie Queens to see that. And so they're going back. They're going back in their fallback career and slinking back to the UK. And I believe it, and yet you don't believe it at the same time. And this is just going to be an absolute mess.
Richard Fitzwilliams, this feels like a massive betrayal of King Charles. The fact that they were with him face to face and he granted this meeting and they didn't open up about their plans, which at that point were clearly well advanced.
They were indeed, and indeed, there's also no doubt that L. Spencer, I think, was well advised of this, because I was very curious after 29 years of Diana's death and not 30 that his book is coming out in September. So clearly the helping hand is there from the Spencers for this, but it's absolutely sensational. It's absolutely outrageous. It proves.
Burrell has strongly rejected accusations that he profited from selling Diana's belongings. He has described such allegations as deeply upsetting and defamatory, and has insisted that he remained loyal to Diana and her children. That dispute adds another layer to an already complicated relationship. What makes this story so compelling is that it isn't simply about one former royal employee. It is about memory. It is about loyalty. It is about how the events of a person's childhood can be interpreted differently decades later. And it is also about what happens when those memories become part of a legal case. Harry has repeatedly spoken about his desire to protect his mother's legacy. But Burrell has also spent years arguing that he has been protecting Diana's memory. Both men therefore present themselves as people who knew and cared deeply about her. Yet their recollections of the past can be dramatically different. There is also an important lesson here for anyone watching the proceedings. A contradiction does not automatically mean someone is lying. Human memory is imperfect. But when a person provides multiple accounts of the same event, especially in a legal proceeding, those differences can understandably attract scrutiny. That's precisely why courtroom questioning can be so intense. Lawyers aren't necessarily trying to establish what someone remembers emotionally. They're trying to establish what can be supported by the documentary record.
Laughable items, nonetheless, extraordinarily successful, but deeply, deeply damaging. And it puts William and Catherine in an absolutely impossible position, because, as you correctly say, and I have to say that this is going to be part and parcel of so many weeks and months and perhaps even years, whereby whenever reconciliation, whenever there's a rift in families, obviously it's desirable, if possible, to close the rift and move on. In this case, it was very, very difficult, short of some form of apology and also some sort of organization whereby the royal family actually knew what was happening and could respond. Now we know that, in fact, the king was only informed on Sunday, and I'm assuming that he wasn't told or indeed didn't know before. What I wonder, do they expect the royal family to do? I mean, they will be frozen out to begin with. The polls are hostile. Harry, I think, has over 30%. Meghan has, I think, something like 20, perhaps even slightly less. The press are hostile, and every move will be tracked. It will be far from easy. And I think they've been failures, but I think that they have decided to put the monarchy in an impossible position, because the king, for example, if we look at Invictus, the king is the head of the armed forces. It's an admirable charity. He will be very pressured to open it. It's very hard to see, as you say, the establishment. They have undoubtedly got friends there, and also a more liberal ethos which pervades our society. It means that the reconciliation aspect is going to be that which is pushed. But what we've already got here is a crisis, and as you say, it is a form of war. The problem is that the royal family are, I think, completely unprepared for it, and therefore I have no idea what's going to happen.
Indeed, and we do have briefing via the Royal Rota, a little bit more information about what the king thinks about this. So, Richard, just stand by while I bring you this from Robert Jobson, who is a member of the Royal Rota. He confirms that the king was first made aware of these plans on Sunday. Sources say he naturally welcomes the opportunity to see more of the Sussex family in a personal and private capacity, but the king is clear that there will be no alteration to the Duke and Duchess's role and status as private individuals and non-working royals, in keeping with their clearly expressed wishes and agreement over past years. There is no half-in, half-out option. Now, I'm sorry, Richard, this is the king being weak. I'm just going to say it because the mainstream media will not say it. He says, in keeping with their clearly expressed wishes and agreements over past years. Yeah, they've changed their mind. They've changed their mind, Richard, because they realise they're not making the money. They're hated in Hollywood. They're not even invited to the Oscars or the Emmys. So King Charles has to wake up, okay? Because the idea that Harry and Meghan are coming back here just to be private citizens is delusional.
It simply isn't in accordance with what we know, and we know they're ruthless. I mean, Meghan, I agree. I don't think
Harry too. They're both ruthless.
Oh, there is no. I think he is weak. The problem is he's not very talented, and she isn't either. And he's not very bright. But I think she is an intriguer. We've seen proof time and time again where they spring things. Where they used to, for example, when members of the royal family were doing X as an engagement, they do something else to get publicity. This clearly shows, though, they're loose cannons, because the confirmation that the king only knew on Sunday makes an absolute nonsense of it, because if they want some form of link with the royal family, which of course is there because of who Harry is, therefore, I mean, it's impossible to deny the fact that they'll be in the country. From that point of view, so much will circulate around them. And of course, as we know, the king is still battling cancer. Catherine has had this remarkable recovery, but they needed time and space, to use a quote, to move towards fuller, more
but Harry knows time is running out, Richard. I've been saying for a long time, Harry knows that the window is closing, because the moment that George comes of age, which is in about 5 years' time, Harry is a goner. This is his last window of opportunity. Richard Fitzwilliam, thank you so much. Great news. Link Lauren of Spot On with Link Lauren is joining our superstar royal panel now as we try and digest this news. And by the way, we have a
not print pictures of Meghan and Harry, and what's going to happen about the security? I mean, are they going to? I know what's going to happen. We're going to have a scene that goes. I mean, we had the New York situation where they were allegedly chased through the streets of New York, and of course, we know the traffic does barely move in New York, and so that was a load of old baloney. So what's going to happen here is going to be a situation with a load of paparazzi take photographs of Meghan. Harry's going to say her safety is a problem, and we're going to have all that again. And guess what year it's going to be? Approaching the 30th anniversary of Diana's death. It'll be again daggers pointed towards the press, the evil messenger. That's probably the way he's going to go with it.
And that is where the details become crucial. An article from 2003, a voicemail, a memoir published decades later, and testimony given under oath. Each piece contributes to the larger picture. For Prince Harry, the continuing dispute over Diana's legacy is clearly personal. For Paul Burrell, the accusations are equally personal. And for the public, it offers another glimpse into the unresolved tensions surrounding Princess Diana's final years and the people who were closest to her. Whatever your opinion of Harry or Burrell, one thing is difficult to dispute. The story of Diana's life continues to influence her sons decades after her death, and the disagreements over her legacy show no sign of disappearing. So what do you make of Prince Harry's testimony and the questions surrounding his changing recollection of his relationship with Paul Burrell? Do you think this is simply a case of memories changing over time, or do the differences between the accounts raise legitimate questions? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next royal update. And remember, we'll continue separating the claims, the evidence, and the commentary so you can make up your own mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.